or some wigs. Hey guys, how's it going? I got something a little different for you today. Something you may or may not have noticed me teasing, specifically in my last review, which was Autobot Jazz. Technically, my last review. I started to record the Jazz one first, and then I actually got, I got Hot Rod in. So I decided to switch gears, do Hot Rod first, because I've been very excited for that one, and then do Jazz. But it's kind of been pushing this video off. And I don't really have anything that I particularly really want to do. So we're going to do this. Now, the big man here himself may lead you to believe that this is an Optimus review. But for those that have been sticking with me right from the beginning, which is only about 6 videos, either way, thank you for doing that, I've already reviewed Optimus. So, we got something, well, let me go with a little story quick. You see, I was initially intending on reviewing a figure I had in my collection. And that was the Cyber series. Yeah, the Cyber Battalion series. You see, for those of you that are big Transformers fans, you probably know what the Cyber Battalion series is, and you're probably rolling your eyes. You see, I had gotten my hands on the Jetfire a long time ago, back when I was initially trying to collect Transformers. And I'll put a picture of it up on screen for those of you who don't know exactly what it is. But for those of you, that don't, again, it's not a good figure. I quickly realized that I was not going to have anything good to say about this quality piece. You see, I've been kind of spoiled by the War for Cybertron series, what with the fantastic posability and the bend in the knee. Why is that important? Well, at least with the Jetfire, there is not a ton of posability. Whereas Optimus here has, a ball joint at the head, a swivel here, movement here, he can move his wrists, blah, 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 blah. You get the story. You've seen the review. Maybe. I don't know. If not, go watch it. I'll put a link down in the description. I mean, you get what you pay for. I think I paid $20 for it a few years ago when they first came out. But it was not a good figure. It lacked just basic posability. There was no knee bend, and I don't believe there was a wrist joint. It didn't even have a ball joint at the head. As you can see right here. I think you can probably tell where we're going with what happened to Jetfire here. Needless to say, I was not very impressed with it. So I got to thinking, what could I do with this figure? Well, let's talk about it. Now, to really get into this customization video, I first have to talk about this guy. I love this Optimus figure. It's really cool. Besides some, junk in the trunk and whatnot. Right here. It's a fun Optimus based on the design of the character from the Galaxy Force anime. Let's just fix up the thing a little bit. There we go. That's better. Based on the Galaxy, well, not Galaxy Force, but, Cybertron. You know what I mean. I love this, but I feel a missed opportunity with the trailer and with the bits here are that you cannot peg it onto the main man here. And as much as I love this sculpt, I really like this sculpt so much more. So, I got to thinking, what can I do to remedy that situation? So I got to look in at our friend Jetfire and what he could offer us. So I started small. I took a screwdriver to the back of the figure, specifically this screwdriver. I undid the 3 screws that went in here, here, and here. These were the main screws that hold the body together. I took that apart, which then freed up the arms, the legs, and the wings of the figure. The wings in the front of the figure. What I did from here, oh, and the legs as well, I should mention. What I did from here was I separated this portion. I then took one of his 2 blasters and I cut off this peg from this section because these pegs are compatible. So first step, now we have a wing pack for Optimus. Mind you, this is only held in by super glue right now. The connection is okay for now. However, the plan is, if this comes out again, I have plastic weld here from JB Weld. This is a very good product. It's mainly for like hardcore fixes, but I find it also works for crafts. It's just also, you know, it's not the safest really, so you don't really want to put it in your mouth or anything. Moving along, I also cut out this section here, as you can see, so that it can just sort of sit like so. Then, what we're going to do after that is we are going to take the jet engine sections of the feet, which we cut off from the legs, and we are going to see, I discovered that these sections of the barrels of the cannons are actually compatible with the figure and the ports. So we're going to mangle this piece, cut this off, and we're going to use this as a support. This will serve as arm cannons of sorts. These will go in here, just like that. We're going to use a little bit of glue to hold it in place on the side there. Then, we're going to take a little bit of plastic weld, put it into the hole there to fill it in. At some point I might paint it, but as a note, I tried to kind of get rid of the foot there as well as this section. It doesn't look great. I might sand it down and see how it looks, but we'll go from there. But the idea is something like this with this, followed by something akin to this. Oh, actually, I got it the wrong way. That's better. It's in some way a sort of reference to the second Transformers film. The live-action films may not be the best. No, they're not. But they do have some cool ideas, such as Jet Optimus. So, we're going to do that. I'm going to turn off the camera for a moment. and we're going to do a little bit of work off screen, and I'll show you where I am after. Alright, so just a little update. Now, what I did here further is you'll notice that before there was a section here that essentially had a casted black wheel. Ignore that little scratch. I can always fix that later if I need to. Now what I did was I took a little handsaw like that, and I sheared it off here. And then since I had used clippers before I had gotten the saw, what I did was I'm sorry, this is the one that I sheared off with the saw. Crap. You can tell because it's just a little bit cleaner on this side than it is on this side. Whatever, it is what it is, right? I then sanded this down a little bit. There's not really much more I can do about this unless I get a file, which I might do at a later date. But for now, what I did was I took just a little bit of black acrylic paint. Not too much, just enough to kind of cover it up so it's at least acceptable by my standards. Got a little bit on my finger though, but it's okay. It's an acrylic paint, so it's, you clean up with soap and water. So any paint you get on yourself or on other things, you should be fine to clean it off with soap and water, especially your brushes. In fact, when painting little things like this, I just kind of do a little brush. I use like a little paper plate like this, and I'm just gonna, because I just noticed I missed a little spot right in there, and we're just gonna kind of shoop, just even it out. And what you can do is, what I like to do is, if I by mistake get a little on somewhere, boop, like that, I take a toothpick like that, and I just kind of, scrape it off. But since it's wet and it's not near anything that you don't have to worry about, just use your finger. Like I said, it's an acrylic based paint. It's not like it's oil based, but you can also see I do have some little black flecks there, so we can just kind of scrape it right off. It'll come right off. So yeah. The next step will be to add in our pegs, which we are cannibalizing from our guns here. Now, as you can see, with this one that I cut, we're going to kind of want to get it right roughly there. So, since we're essentially using the end of this barrel of the gun as the area that fits inside, like that, what we're going to do is we're going to take our clippers. We're just going to kind of clip it as close as we can to there. Don't really need to measure. It's just as long as you kind of, there you go. It's a pretty clean cut, and you'll see too that this end will in fact, let's find something to peg it into that I'm not going to get paint on. There. It will in fact peg in rather nicely. That's pretty nice snug fit too. So I got a little paint on my desk. Not that it matters, it's a black desk, so whatever. If it gets a little paint on it, I don't care. I really kind of just use this as a workspace at this point, so if it gets a little paint on it, I don't really care. So we have everything pretty much assembled. I may trim these a little bit more so that the end of the peg here sort of sits a little more flush with this, so that it would kind of be more like, you know, like that. But I'll probably just end up doing that off camera. Jury's still out on what I'm going to do about this portion, because I have, try as hard as I may, I can't really figure out a way to put this on here that won't mess with the basic structure of the figure. I mean, it sits on here pretty well, and it's not like I'm going to be playing with it. So if I leave it as is, it's not a bad thing necessarily. So we're going to add the pegs to these. We're going to add the putty when this paint dries, and we'll see you in a bit. Okay. So we have let the paint dry a bit. I'll apologize in advance. It is raining outside. But we let the paint dry a bit. We are now on the following day. Now, I wanted to give the paint plenty of time to dry. So, what we're going to do here is, as I said, we're going to we want to make sure that we do this just right. But, I mean, in essence, it's going to plug in, let's adjust that camera a bit. In essence, it's going to plug in right about there. So I think our best bet's going to be, I know I said in here initially, I think our best bet's going to be somewhere in here. Roughly right at the edge there. So it should be something like that. So we are going to take off some of this blaster bit here, because we're not going to really need that. So once again, we're going to take our pliers and we're just going to kind of... There we go. That's a nice little cut there. And you know what? I think that's good. Oop, crap. I think that'll be more than enough. And then we've got our putty here. Now this you want to be careful with, because it's, number one, it doesn't smell great. So that's probably not good to be inhaling, but hey, whatever. Once it dries, it's not really hazardous, and we're just going to kind of want to put it in there like that. Now, I think our best bet's going to be to get some sort of tool and just sort of mush it in there. Now, I don't really have a tool like that, so I'm just going to use a toothpick. We're just going to kind of, no, that didn't. Yeah, we're just going to kind of, that's better. Just going to really get it in there. The good thing about this is it's relatively fast drying, but it also doesn't really dry out 100%. And that should just about do it. And then from there, oh, look at that. That's not too bad. And we're going to do the same on the other side. Once again. Something like that. And just to let you know how good at least that stuff is. I modified this from the Energon Super Megatron figure and put that peg in there. There, now you can see it. And that's been like that for months. It's on there pretty good. So once this has some time to dry, it'll be good. But let's give that some time to dry, and then we'll come back to it. All right, folks. Well, we have pretty much done everything as needed. Everything is dried, all the paint, all the putty. Let's put this design for the main man together and see how it looks. First, we got the chest plate. Next, we got the wings. And last but not least, we have these. I also did a little bit of extra sanding on the pegs here so that they would go in all right. And you know what? I think that looks kind of cool. All things considered. Overall, I'm going to go ahead and say that this was a rousing success. Let's bring in a Megatron. Why not, right? I think they look pretty good together, don't you? Get them in a battle pose on a shelf. Yeah. Now then, if you want to mimic something akin to this, I suppose you could probably still use the Cyber Battalion. I've also seen folks use the Studio Series Jetfire to achieve the same result. I didn't do that with this, only because at this point I'd be having to buy that Jetfire on the secondhand market, and that costs a lot. So I just used what I had available to me. But, hey, what do you guys think? I don't know when the next time is I'm going to do a customization like this. These are going to kind of be few and far in between. Something I want to do down the line is make a customization of Megatron in a truck alt, similar to the third film. But I don't really have the money to purchase an alternate Optimus to do that. Not right now, anyway. So that's probably going to be something for much, much later down the line. But that's just an idea I have of something that I would like to do when I have the chance. But hey, let me know how you liked this down in those comments. And if you did like this video, be sure to subscribe for more content kind of like this. And otherwise, I'll catch you in the next one. And with that, Jetfire says, why did you do this to me? Why did you do this to me? Internet, you stay classy out there. Peace out.